Hi everyone. I deem it a great pleasure of taking this responsibility to introduce myself. I'm Raghu, Assistant Professor of English from School of Sciences and Humanities, SR University, which is located in Warangal, Telangana. You all know that I have started a series of lectures on Indian knowledge system, and I have completed few video lectures also. So let us recapitulate whatever we have already discussed in the previous videos. After that, we will move on to the next lecture. First, lesson number 1, the basic view of Indian knowledge system. So let us recapitulate whatever the key ideas we have discussed under the canopy of lesson number 1. 4 important points we had a discussion. One is, what is IKS? What are the key features of IKS? Sources of knowledge during ancient times, and what are the significant contributions in ancient India by our ancestors. So these are the key important points we had a discussion in the previous lectures. So let us recapitulate briefly for a better understanding. Let's proceed to further after. What is IKS? The knowledge and the wisdom which has been developed during the ancient times is called IKS, Indian Knowledge System. It is a responsibility of every Indian citizen to have a basic understanding on ancient knowledge. Let's proceed to the next point. What are the key features of IKS? There are 4 important key features we had a discussion. One is holistic. What it means? During the ancient times, our ancestors firmly believed that everything in this universe is interconnected and interrelated. Either the species on the earth, nature, universe, humans, all are interdepending on each other. The best example I have already given, for example, if you take the trees, which are providing oxygen, which is an essential element to the humans to survive on this earth. On the other side of the coin, we are releasing carbon dioxide, which is essential for the trees to survive. So in such a way, we are depending on each other in this earth, and which means holistic. And the second one, practical. And this quality is related to ancient education. Our ancestors firmly believed that they don't give much priority for theoretical learning, rather than they had given much more importance to practical learning. Experimental learning has given utmost priority during the ancient times. It means learning by doing, learning through actions. Either it is farming, either it is farming, architecture, or else fighting, warfare, everything they do with the practice. That is one of the important key features of Indian knowledge system pertaining to education. And another important quality regarding IKS is concerned, ethical, moral. Our ancestors firmly believed that education is the manifestation of attitude. It means the cultivation of good behavior. Unfortunately, in the modern civilization, or even in the recent times, if you observe carefully, even in the news channels, there was a small boy, a school boy, who was shooting a teacher. That means we are forgetting our moral values. Teacher is treated as a god in the ancient times, but now in the modern times, he is the victim of the society. And students are not giving value to them, especially at the time of online classes during the time of Corona. There are many teachers faced many number of problems from the students during the online classes. But in the ancient times, actually, they had given utmost priority for ethical values, cultivation of behavior of the students. Rather than just inducing the knowledge to the students, they had given utmost priority to cultivate a good behavior in the students to make them good citizens of the society. That is another important quality of Indian education system during the ancient times. And another significant quality pertaining to IKS is nature friendly. Our ancestors gave utmost priority for nature. They protect the nature. They have developed small groves such as small forests and which are treated as god and goddess in the ancient times. In such a way, they have given utmost priority to the nature. They love to live with the nature. They love to protect the nature. But in the modern civilization, in the name of industrialization and development, we are cutting the trees. We are destructing the nature. That is why it leads to many health issues. It leads to pollution and global warming. One of the best examples is the situation of Delhi. So the people who were living with the nature, they were always happy and calm and peaceful. But whenever we were away from the nature, thinking that it is the development, then we are leading to the stage of destruction. At least we need to realize it now. That's the reason it is a responsibility of everyone. What kind of a lifestyle our ancestors had led, we should understand it. Because they were very happy, they were very healthy, they were very peaceful for many number of years. But if you see the modern times, actually, there are many people have been suffering with health issues even in the young age because of this polluted world. Who are responsible for that? We are responsible for that in the name of development and industrialization. What is another point we had a discussion under the canopy of lesson number 1? What are the different sources of knowledge they had in the ancient times? They had 4 important sources. One is Vedas, second one is Upanishads, and third one is Puranas, and fourth one is epics such as Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ultimately, the importance of these 4 categories, they induce moral values, ethical values, and the right way of living to the public in the ancient times. And the fourth one, significant contributions in ancient India. There are many modern philosophers used to question the knowledge of ancient people. What did they contribute to the modern civilization? Can you at least imagine the modern civilization without the ancient knowledge? Impossible. I have already mentioned even in the previous videos also, if you really want to understand the modern knowledge, you can have a better understanding by observing through the lens of ancient India. We are constructing the modern civilization on the roots of ancient civilization. That is the fact everyone has to understand. There are many examples for that. For example, if you take health and wellness, during the ancient times, our ancestors firmly believed that healthy body gives healthy mind. That's why they had introduced yoga. They did many yogasanas. If you are physically fit, they firmly believe that you are mentally and psychologically also fit. And their contribution to mathematics, which is remarkable. Can we imagine the modern mathematics without having a zero, which was invented by one of our ancestors, Aryabhatta? Can you at least imagine that? And the next one, if you take trading, they started trading long years ago, thousands of years ago. They exported gold to the foreign countries during the time. And not only that, in the name of trading, actually, they started using coins, silver coins, copper coins for doing trading, and which is a base for the modern currency in the world. We cannot forget ancient knowledge and their contributions. Not only that, we are talking something about the space research in the global civilization, but which was started by our Indian ancestors thousands of years ago, who started investigating our universe thousands of years ago, and who proposed 2 important and significant theories to the globe. What are the 2 theories? Geocentric theory and heliocentric theory. Both the theories are talking something about the universe only. And the geocentric theory was believed by ancient people for thousands of years ago. For many years, they believed it. What is the main concept of geocentric theory. It believes that Earth is the center of the universe. All the planets, including the sun, revolve around the Earth. It was a belief, and people believed it for thousands of years. But later it proved wrong, of course. Another theory came to existence that is called heliocentric theory, which means Earth is not the center of the universe, Sun is the center of the universe. All the planets are revolving around the Sun, including the Earth. That is called heliocentric theory. And even now, the modern civilized people who are believing heliocentric theory only. And which is the base? Our ancient knowledge is the base. You know, when the people were traveling in the sea, actually, they didn't have any kind of technological compass. By observing the position of the stars, they used to travel. By observing the seasons, they did farming. By observing the position of the stars, they have done farming at the time. And they are observing the time by observing the sun and all. So how does it possible? They lived with the nature, and through the nature, they achieved everything. So that's why we cannot imagine the modern civilization without ancient India. So this is in brief about lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, with the title Modes of Knowledge Transmission. Let us recapitulate the key ideas. What are the different modes of knowledge transmission we had in ancient times? We discussed 10 different modes of knowledge transmission. Let's have a brief discussion on them. Number 1, Guru Sishya Parampara, which is one of the best ways in the ancient times to transmit the valuable knowledge to the others in the ancient times. That is nothing but learning from a teacher. If the Sishya would like to learn from the Guru, the Sishya would go to the Gurukulas and request the Gurus to learn something from them. If the Gurus have accepted their request, the Sishyas would live with the Gurus in the Gurukulas and learn from them. That is one of the best ways of knowledge transmission in ancient India, learning from a teacher. And the second important modes of knowledge transmission is learning by listening, oral tradition, that is through songs. Our ancestors firmly believed that through the songs, knowledge can be easily transmitted to the group of people, and it can be registered for a long period of time in the minds of the people. One of the best examples are nothing but Harikathas during the time. So whatever the mythological stories were there and moral stories were there, which were narrated to the group of people through Harikathas. Even now at the time of festivals also we did the same, and we are following the tradition even in the modern civilization. And the third one, learning by writing. Our ancestors, later years, they believed it. Whatever the knowledge they had, the precious knowledge they had, it has to reach to the next generations. That's why they started writing their knowledge in the form of manuscripts. The precious knowledge, whatever they had, they have written on the palm leaves, and which are the base for our ancient knowledge. And Ayurveda, everything had been written on the palm leaves. And we are utilizing that knowledge now to treat the patients in Ayurveda. And the fourth one, performing arts as learning. The dance forms, singing, songs. So the different arts have been used to convey the important information to the group of people in the ancient times. There are many dance forms have been originated in the ancient times, and through that, they conveyed the valuable information to the group of people, because rather than reading some information from the books actually, but if you witness that in the form of an art, which can be remembered for a long time, that was a strategy and technique our ancestors believed. And the fifth one is dialogue and debate, which is not a new one, even to the modern civilization. The people who are going for campus placement drives, actually, one of the important rounds in the campus placement drive is a debate in the modern civilization. Through that, they are trying to test their critical thinking, logical thinking, communication skills, which had been started in Gurukulas thousands of years ago by our gurus, our ancestors. In Gurukulas, they are going to conduct some debates on different topics to the students so that they are going to share their knowledge to each other. Through that, they are going to test their critical thinking and logical thinking. And the sixth one is observation and imitation. One of the best examples is nothing but the story of Ekalavya. Dronacharya rejected to take him as a student because he doesn't belong to king's community. But he doesn't want to leave it. By observing Dronacharya teachings from a far distance, he has learned archery and became as an expert in that. It was possible through observation and imitation to Ekalavya, and he became as an expert. That is one of the ways in ancient times to learn something from gurus. Observation and imitation. Pilgrimages and travel learning. So there are many ancestors who are very much interested to go to the different places in the name of pilgrimages so that they can share their culture, they can share their knowledge among different people, and different cultures can be understand to each other. Not only that, whatever the knowledge they had, they are going to transmit the knowledge to the different people when they are meeting each other. Travel is one of the best ways of transmitting the knowledge in the ancient times. Community-based learning, that is another mode of knowledge transmission. For example, if you take villages during the time, the elderly personalities and the leaders in the villages, especially at the time of special occasions or festivals, they gathered the group of students over there, group of public over there, and they used to teach them what is our culture, how to do the rituals and all. That is why even in the modern civilization, we are doing our pujas and rituals individually without taking the help of the priest also. How does it possible? Because whatever the traditions they had, it has been transferred to the next generations. And we are implementing the same, even in the modern civilization. That's why ancient knowledge is precious. Their contributions to the modern civilization is really remarkable and unquestionable. Symbolism and visual representation. The best examples are nothing but temples. The knowledge, the precious knowledge, what they had in the ancient times has been carved on the walls of the temples. How did they live? What kind of lifestyle they had followed? The birth process, the knowledge they had, everything had been carved on the temple walls. If you observe the ancient temples, actually, if you visit them, you can understand what kind of knowledge they had in the ancient time and how did they carve it on the walls of the temples. And the last one, the another important mode of knowledge transmission is mnemonic technique, which means our ancestors firmly believed that through drilling of rhymes, the knowledge can be transmitted. They followed this technique to induce the moral values in the public during the time by making them to practice rhymes. The best example is nothing but even the same strategy and technique our modern civilization and the global civilization also followed. If you take a best example, the well-known rhyme called Johnny Johnny yes Papa, eating sugar no Papa. We are thinking that it is just an English rhyme, but what is the meaning behind it? It is suggesting that too much of eating of sugar is not good for health. And this technique and this strategy had been adopted by our ancient times. This is in brief about lesson number 2, the modes of knowledge transmission in ancient India. The third one, Vedic corpus, the foundations of Indian wisdom. What is Vedic corpus? Well, the knowledge and the wisdom which has been there in the ancient times had been written in the form of 4 volumes or books. That is called Vedic corpus. It includes 4 Vedas. What are the 4 Vedas we have? Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda. What is Rig Veda? Rig Veda is the book of hymns or songs which were written thousands of years ago. Rig Veda is a book of lyrical songs and it talks about universe, nature, how to lead a good life in the ancient times. That is in brief about Rig Veda. Yajurveda, it is a special instruction book for doing Hindu rituals and prayers. It is a book of rituals and pujas. how to perform the puja in a step-by-step process, how to perform the prayers to the God. Everything was explained in a very detailed and step-by-step process, and that book is named as, that Veda is named as Yajurveda. What is Samaveda? The Veda of songs and music. It has a relation with Rigveda. What did I say about Rigveda? Rigveda is about the lyrical songs. So whatever the lyrics were there in Rigveda, and adding music to that, they made as prayer songs, and which are used at the time of rituals and pujas. So that is called Samaveda. It is a book of musical songs. Let us take the modern example actually. For example, there is a movie. Okay. In that movie, actually, lyricist will be there. What is the duty of a lyricist? He will write some lyrics. And whatever the lyrics have been written by the lyricist, and the music director is adding music to that and make them to the beautiful melodious songs. In such a way, Rigveda provides the lyrics, and Samaveda add music to that and make it like a prayer song, and which are generally used at the time of rituals and pujas. That is called Samaveda. And Atharva Veda, it teaches about life. It is almost like a constitution of how to live in the ancient times, how to live happily, how to make our life healthy, peaceful. All these things, all these guidelines have been given in Atharva Veda. That's why we can say that these four books are the wisdom of our ancient knowledge. And everyone has a responsibility to have a knowledge on them. And this is in brief about lesson number 3, Vedic corpus. Lesson number 4, exploring Vedangas and Upavedas. So what are the key points? We had a discussion. Number 1, relationship among Vedas, Vedangas and Upavedas. Did you remember, is there any relationship? Yes, there is a relationship. So Vedas are the wisdom and the knowledge of the ancient times. But if you want to read the Vedas and understand the Vedas, we require Vedangas. So Vedangas are the tools, the 6 tools during the ancient times, which help us to understand the information and knowledge in Vedas. For example, you would like to learn English language. So in the process of learning English language, how did you learn? You're going to focus on vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, sentence formation. These are all the different tools you use to learn English language, right? Similarly, if you want to learn Vedas, if you want to understand the information in the Vedas, these Vedangas help us to understand the information in a better way. How many Vedangas we have? There are 6 tools of Vedangas we have, which help us to understand the Vedas in a better manner. Let us introduce all the 6 tools. One is Siksha, which means phonetics, which focuses on pronunciation, how to pronounce the words correctly in Vedas. Next one, Vyakarana, which means grammar, correct use of language. And third one, Nirukta, etymology, which means vocabulary, the meanings of words, which help us to understand the meanings of information in Vedas. And Chandas, rhythm and poetic style. And Kalpa, rituals, the rules of rituals, what kind of rituals they had followed, what kind of step-by-step analysis they had, everything has been explained. And Jyotisha, it is about astronomy and astrology. All these tools which help us to understand the information and knowledge in Vedas. And they are called Vedangas. That is the relationship between Vedas and Vedangas. So Vedas are nothing but the books of knowledge and wisdom. Whatever the knowledge and wisdom prescribed in Vedas, if you want to understand that information, we need Vedangas, which are the tools of learning information in Vedas. And the third one is Upavedas. What does it mean by Upavedas? Whatever the information you have acquired, that information you need to practically apply that in the real-time situation. That is nothing but practical exposure. Whatever the theory you have learned from Vedas, you need to practically apply that in the real-time situation. They are called, the practical tools are called, the skills are called Upavedas. So Upavedas are nothing but skill enhancement. Whatever the theoretical knowledge you have acquired, that you need to put it into practice through Upavedas. For example, if you take Ayurveda, the science of health and medicine, that means whatever the theory you have learned regarding the treatment of medicine is concerned in Ayurveda, you are going to apply that to the patients to treat some diseases there by using the method of Ayurveda. It is a skill. That skill you need to develop and enhance. That is called Upaveda. Dhanurveda, it is a skill of archery and sword fight. How to fight at the time of warfare. How to leave the arrows. So all the skills you are going to learn in the name of Dhanurveda. Gandharva Veda, it is something related to music, dance, singing, and arts. Okay, how to play flute, tabla, how to sing a song. Okay, how to perform different dance forms, Bharatanatyam, Kathakali, Kuchipudi, or whatever. How to perform different dance forms. So, whatever the theoretical knowledge you had, that you need to put it into practice in the real-time situation. They are called Upavedas. Stapatya Veda, it is something about architecture and engineering. Ancient monuments are the best examples of intellectual architecture of our ancient people. Because the present monuments pertaining to ancient times are the replicas of their intelligence, intellectual capability in their architecture and engineering. So they had such a kind of a skill. So acquiring those skills are called Upavedas. So let me make it very clear. So Vedas are nothing but the wisdom of knowledge. The wisdom and the knowledge which has been prescribed in the form of 4 books is called Vedas. So in the process of understanding the information in Vedas, we need to rely on Vedangas, which are the 6 tools, help us to understand the information in Vedas in a better way. And Upavedas, whatever the information you have learned from Vedas, with the help of Vedangas, that you need to put it into practice in the real-time situation, those skills are called Upavedas. So that is the relationship among Vedas, Vedangas, and Upavedas. It is in brief about lesson number 4, exploring Vedangas and Upavedas. Lesson number 5, classical Indian philosophical schools. An overview. There were 6 schools proposed by our ancestors during the ancient time or during ancient India. Every school has its own significance. For example, if you take the school of Nyaya, which focuses on logic and reasoning, sage Gautama has established a school during the ancient time. It teaches the students the different ways of identifying the truth. For example, there was a crime. How to identify the truth behind the crime? They suggested 4 ways to identify the truth, and which were called as pramanas. So what does it mean by pramanas? The pramanas are the different ways to identify the truth if there is a crime. So what is the first pramana? Pratyaksha. You come to conclusion, what is the truth? That is through pratyaksha, that means perception. 5 senses you need to rely. Either you can smell it, or else you can taste it, or else you can see it directly, then only you can believe that it is a truth. That is one way of identifying the truth. That is pramana 1. What is pramana 2? Anumana is another way of identifying the truth. That is nothing but guessing from the clue, having some kind of suspicious on somebody based on the clue. For example, there was a smoke on the hill. The smoke is a clue to come to the conclusion or the truth that there is a fire. Without the fire, how can you get the smoke? So smoke acts like a clue. So in the name of identifying, in the process of identifying the truth, you have to look for clues. The clues which will help us to identify the truth behind it. That is called Anumana, which is another Pramana. And the third Pramana is Upamana, comparing which with something which you already know. For example, somebody has witnessed something. He was describing, sir, that object looks like a horse, but it is not exactly horse actually. It has white and black stripes. That means what is that? It is a zebra. How he compared? He compared with the information which is already known to you. What is the information which is already known to you? You already know about horse, and that animal also look like a horse. That's why he started comparing for giving you better understanding about the truth. That is called upamana. And Sabda, verbal testimony, learning from a trustworthy person. Somebody might have witnessed the crime. If you feel that he is a trustworthy person, you can believe and proceed further. So these are all the four different logical ways suggested by Says Gupta from the school called Nyaya to identify the truth behind it. That is in brief about Nyaya school. What is the second one? Vaisheshika school. It was proposed by Says Kannada. What is this school about? So according to Says Kannada, the world has been developed through atoms. And he strongly believed that atoms are eternal. Okay, the world is created with atoms. Atoms are nothing but small particles. And we should not see the world as single entity. We have to see the world into different segments and parts. And we need to study that. Then only we can understand the world. That is what Vaisheshika school suggests. For example, there is a plastic toy. After playing with the toy, actually the toy was broken. The toy shape was damaged actually. Okay, which is not permanent. Shape is not permanent. But atom is permanent. That means the plastic is permanent. What is going to do? What we are going to do with the broken toy? And again we recycle it and we can make it like another toy. So atoms are eternal and the remaining things are temporary. That is what Vaisheshika school always suggests. So if you want to understand the world, you have to see the world into two different segments and different atoms. Every atom you need to study in a separate way, and which becomes eternal. That is what Vaisheshika school suggests. And third one, Samkhya school, which was proposed by Says Kapila. He said the whole world is made up of two main things. One is Purusha, which is nothing but soul, and Prakriti, which is nothing but nature or material. Soul is permanent, material is temporary. For example, body is a material, which is temporary. Okay, but it has no value without the soul. Similarly, soul has no value without the body. So whenever we have Purusha and Prakriti together, this is what universe. And both are depending on each other. It is a dualism. It is a dualism, which was proposed by Says Kapila. And the fourth school is Yoga school. I have already mentioned even in the previous lecture. Our ancestors firmly believed that healthy body gives healthy mind. If you are physically fit, mentally fit, psychologically fit, they gave utmost priority for yoga, a physical fitness that makes us to be happy and peaceful. And it was proposed by Seth Patanjali. And yoga helps us to lead a happy life without having any stress. And you will have a self-control. That is what yoga school always try to teach us. And the fifth school is Purva Mimasa school. It is a school of rituals and dharma. It was proposed by Rishi Jaimani. The school teaches if you do our duties, that is nothing but dharmas, correctly, we get good results. So we need to follow the nature, the order of the nature, the guidelines of the nature, the morals of the nature. If you strictly abide to the rules of the nature, the orders of the nature, we will have a good results. Whenever you try to violate the orders of the nature, the rules of the nature, it leads to destruction. That's an example. The modern civilization is an example. Whenever we started away from the nature, actually, there are many issues have been created in the name of development, actually. Pollution is there, global warming is there. Delhi is the best example for that. People are struggling hard to live there. They are banning some petrol and diesel vehicles also. I came to know that in the recent time. And who created this mess? Humans, in the name of development and industrialization. But the people, our ancestors who lived with the nature, they had a happy life. They lived more than 100 years. But now, even the youngsters have been facing many number of issues. And cancer, it becomes one of the deadly diseases in the recent times. And the sixth one is Vedanta school. It is a school of metaphysics and ultimate truth. It was proposed by sage Vyasa because he wrote the Brahma Sutras, also called Vedanta Sutras, which form the main textbook that is called Vedanta, which is the base of this school. Now let's recapitulate lesson number 6, logic and epistemology in Indian philosophy. So under the canopy of lesson number 6, we had a discussion on 4 important points, such as what is logic, what are the 5 steps of logical thinking proposed by Nyaya school, what is the meaning of the term epistemology, what are 6 pramanas, that is nothing but 6 different ways of logical thinking. So let us briefly discuss about each point. What is logic? The ability to think carefully to come to the right conclusion is called logical thinking. Generally, during the ancient times, the logical thinking concept was proposed by Nyaya school. It discussed by Nyaya school. It has proposed 5 steps of logical thinking, which we call it as syllogism. So, what are the 5 steps of syllogism we have? Pratigna, it starts with the context or situation. That is nothing but statement. There is a fire on the hill. Why there is a fire on the hill? How do you know that? We need to find the reason behind it. The reason or the clue is there is a smoke on the hill. That is a clue to come to the conclusion that there is a fire. And relating that reason to the example. How far smoke and the fire are interrelated to each other? While I was working in the kitchen, there is a fire, it leads to smoke. So that wherever there is a fire, there is a possibility for smoke. So as there is a smoke, it is an indication that there is a fire on the hill. In such a way, we are applying the example that is called Upanaya. And next one, Nigamana, which means conclusion. Therefore, we finally come to the conclusion that there is a fire on the hill. So these are all the different 5 steps proposed by Nyaya school in regard of logical thinking is concerned. And what is the meaning of the term epistemology? It means study of knowledge. During the ancient times, Vedas are the books of knowledge, the repository of the knowledge which is preserved in the form of 4 books. They are called Vedic karmas. So how to acquire the knowledge? What are the different methods and ways to acquire the knowledge is being studied by epistemology. And Nyaya school also has proposed 6 pramanas. That is nothing but 6 different ways to identify the truth or 6 different ways for logical thinking. So what are the 6 different ways of logical thinking suggested by Nyaya school to come to the right conclusion or to identify the truth behind the situation? One is pratyaksha. If there is a crime or a situation, by experiencing through 5 senses, you have to come to the conclusion. Any of these 5 senses. Either you can see the situation or witness the situation, or you can hear it, or you might be touching it physically, or else you can taste or smell it. If you really experience it personally and based on that coming to the conclusion or identifying the truth of something, that is called pratyaksha, which we call it as perception. Next one, anumana. If there is a crime or a situation, first we have to look for clues. The clues which will help us or lead us to identify the truth behind the crime. That is called anumana. Upamana, that is nothing but comparing the situation with the situation which you already know. For example, there is a person who witnessed an animal in the village, which is completely different, and he was trying to describe it to the other people. How it looks like a horse. Why he is taking and comparing the horse actually? Because horse is an animal which is already known to the villages. So he is comparing that animal with a known animal. So it looks like a horse, but it is not horse. It has white and black stripes. That is called comparison. Through comparison, we can try to identify the truth, explain the truth. And next one, Sabda. It is a verbal testimony. Coming to the conclusion by listening to the trustworthy person, either from your mother, father, friend, or the person whom you know for many years. Okay. And after that, you can come to the conclusion after listening to his words or her words. It's called Sabda. Arthapati, that is nothing but presuming something, identifying the head and if you couldn't identify the clues actually, at least you need to assume them. What happened there? How it happened? So you need to assume the situation. That is called assumptions. But sometimes these assumptions may be right, sometimes may be wrong. But whenever you're in a dilemma or the situation where you couldn't find the clues, okay, then you need to assume the situation and find the truth. Of course, sometimes assumptions may be right or wrong, but at least these assumptions help us to move forward. And next one, Anupalabdhi, that is nothing but knowledge of absence. I have already mentioned in the previous video also. For example, you would like to meet your teacher. You went to the staff room, but the things of the teacher are not there on the table. Then finally, you can come to the conclusion based on the absence of the objects on the table, the teacher may be on leave. So coming to the conclusion based on the absence of something. So these are all the basic concepts of lesson number 6, which we have already discussed. That is called logic and epistemology in Indian philosophy. Now lesson number 7, ancient Indian mathematicians. Okay, what are the main points we discussed under the canopy of lesson number 7? Mathematical practices, okay, have been started from Indus Valley civilization. It continued even in the Vedic period also. There are many significant mathematicians during the ancient time contributed many things to the modern maths. One is Aryabhatta, who introduced the concept of zero as well as place value system. That is nothing but tens, hundreds, thousands and all. Can you imagine our mathematics without the zero? It is introduced by Aryabhatta. Brahmagupta, whatever the zero introduced by Aryabhatta, he has explained how to do the maths with the help of the zero. Okay, such as additions and subtractions. He has explained that. And another significant achievement of Brahmagupta is he has introduced the negative numbers such as -1, -2 and explained how to use them doing the mathematical problems. And third one, Mahavira Acharya, who belongs to 9th century, who has explained about fractions such as 1/2, 1/3, 1/4. Okay, and explained how to use them in mathematics too. Bhaskara 1, he worked on trigonometry. Bhaskara 2, explained the mathematics, how to use it in the daily life for buying something, for building or constructing something, for solving the problems. So these are all the key issues we had a discussion under lesson number 7, which is titled Ancient Indian Mathematicians. Next one, lesson number 8. Advancements in astronomy and cosmology in ancient India. So what are the contributions of our ancestors to the Indian astronomy? Let us see. There are 4 important books in the Vedic period, which we call them as Vedas. Among these 4 Vedas, Rig Veda mentioned about the celestial bodies, such as sun, moon, stars, planets. So it is an evidence that from the Rig Veda onwards or from the Vedic period onwards, people started observing the universe too. And they started focusing on the astronomy. The Vedic calendar, which was designed based on the lunar cycles, that is nothing but moon movement, it has helped the people to identify the dates of the festivals and the right time of farming. Even now, we are following that, if you observe carefully. Based on the seasons, we are doing the farming now. And that has been continued from ancient times. And we are looking for good days actually to start any important occasion. All these things are from Vedic calendar. We adopted that. We adopted that. And it was there from the ancient times, Vedic period. And there are many significant contributions by ancestors, okay, to the Indian astronomy. One is Aryabhatta, who was a well-known mathematician as well as an astronomer, okay, who talks about Earth's rotation on its own. Not only that, he has explained about the position of the planets in the sky. After that, Varahamitra, who explains how sun and moon cause eclipses. We have lunar eclipses, sun eclipses, or whatever, and he has explained how they are going to happen and studied how stars and planets affects the seasons and the rains. See, this much of knowledge our ancestors had during the ancient times. By observing the stars, actually, they started the forming. By observing the planets' positions and all, seasons were changing, rains are coming. All these things were observed during the ancient times. Medieval astronomy, which was completely dominated by Islamic scholars because they invaded our nations, they captured our kingdoms, they ruled our country at the time. Okay, so whatever the ancient books were there, they were translated into Arabic language. They also have contributed many things to the Indian astronomy, okay, through their research. After the medieval astronomy, the modern astronomy was declined by the Britishers. Because Britishers have declined the modern astronomy. They have not given value to that, the Indian astronomy. Okay, but it came to gain its importance. It gains its importance maybe after 19th and 20th century. Then people started observing the universe again, started doing the research on astronomy. Okay, as a result, we have Chandrayaan. Okay, we have successfully completed. Mars orbiter mission, we have successfully completed. So these are all the key points we had a discussion on lesson number 8 with the title Advancements in Astronomy and Cosmology in India. Now let's move on to the lesson number 9, Ayurveda, a science of life and well-being. Let's have a brief discussion on Ayurveda, which belongs to ancient times. What is Ayurveda? Ayurveda derived from the Sanskrit word Ayur, which means life, and Veda, which means knowledge. So Ayurveda is nothing but the knowledge about life, how to lead a healthy and peaceful life. It is being studied by the subject called Ayurveda, the oldest healing remedy of science. It is an ancient system of medicine and that has been originated in India 3000 years ago. So Ayurveda was originated in 3000 years ago. It is not related to modern times. It was recorded. The medicines were recorded. The treatment was recorded. Still, we are using Ayurveda for treating the patients, and which we adopted from our ancient knowledge. It emphasizes a holistic approach to health, focusing on the balance of body, mind, and spirit. Ayurveda firmly believes that everything is depending on nature. Ayurveda firmly believes that healthy body gives healthy mind. That is a firm belief of Ayurveda. You have to internally strong, you have to physically strong so that you are psychologically also strong. Let's see what are the key components of Ayurveda. One is Ayurveda believes in holistic approach. What it means? Ayurveda views health as a state of balance among the body, mind, and environment. I have already mentioned. Ayurveda firmly believes that if you have a healthy body, it gives healthy mind. It always focuses on that. That's the reason Ayurveda introduces yoga. If you're physically fit, you're also mentally fit. That we call it as a holistic approach. Both are interdepending on each other. It considers physical, mental, spiritual well-being, and all are interconnected to each other. That is called holistic approach. Doshas. The central to Ayurveda philosophy are the three doshas. Ayurveda believes in doshas. What are the doshas? Vata, Pitta, Kapha. How they are related to health? If all the three are in a very balanced manner in the body, according to Ayurveda, Ayurveda considers that it is a healthy body. It is a healthy body. For example, there is a problem with Vata. Maybe the issue is something related to respiration or any other issue. So, if there is a problem in Pitta, according to that, the Ayurveda's treatment will be there. If all the three are well balanced in the body, Ayurveda considered that that body is a healthy body. Each individual has a unique combination of these doshas. Unique combination means for some bodies, Vata and Pitta are good and Kapha is not good. For some bodies, Pitta and Kapha are good and Vata is not good. Okay, it is based on our birth, which influences their physical and mental characteristics as well as their health also. So that's the reason Ayurveda always believes that if the doshas are in a very balanced manner, doshas such as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in our body, and that would be considered as a healthy body. If any one of doshas are not properly working in the body, then there is an issue in the body. According to that dosha, the treatment would be considered. And third one, Prakriti versus Vikruti, Ayurveda belief. What is Prakriti? Your natural body type, which was coming from the birth. It doesn't change. Whatever the things were there from the birth, actually, they would be there throughout your life. They never change. Okay, it is your original balance, like your default setting. The default setting cannot be changed. It was given by God. It comes from the birth. That is called Prakriti, which is unchangeable, which comes from the birth of a person. Vikruti, it is your current condition. It get influenced by your lifestyle from the birth. It may changes. If your lifestyle is good, it is balanced. If your lifestyle is not good, then the condition becomes worse. Your current health condition, it keeps changing based on the diet, whatever you're going to take, lifestyle, whatever you follow from the birth, and stress or the weather conditions. So based on all these concepts, okay, our Vikruti may change. But Ayurveda believes in balancing both, which Ayurveda considers it as a healthy body. So if you want to consider as a healthy body, Ayurveda believes that Prakriti and Vikruti has to be balanced. Okay, that is another belief of Ayurveda. The fourth one, prevention and lifestyle. Ayurveda strongly believes that prevention is better than cure. So that is why Ayurveda always try to suggest the healthy lifestyle. Rather than getting affected by disease, actually, instead of giving the lifestyle, a proper lifestyle, since the beginning, Ayurveda would try to give the lifestyle, a good lifestyle to the human beings, so that they may not get affected by the diseases. Okay, prevention is better than cure. That is the basic principle of Ayurveda. That's why Ayurveda always suggests a good lifestyle. Always suggests a good lifestyle, so that your Prakriti also well balanced with Vikruti. Otherwise, there is an issue. So that your doshas also well balanced. Otherwise, there may be a problem to any of these three doshas. And fifth one, natural remedies. Ayurveda always rely on nature. In addition to that, Ayurveda always believe that healthy body gives healthy mind. That's the reason they have introduced yoga too, for a physical fitness. Okay, so they rely on natural remedies to cure the diseases and problems, health issues. These are all the key components of Ayurveda. And what are the Ayurvedic practices? They firmly believed on three things. One is diet, second one is yoga and meditation, third one is detoxification. Diet, proper diet, okay, which makes your body healthy. which makes your doshas also balanced. Excessive food, unnecessary food, it leads to many issues in the body. It leads to problems in doshas. Yoga. I told you already, Ayurveda always believe that healthy body gives healthy mind. It always encourages yoga and meditation. Yoga gives your physical fitness. Meditation gives your mental fitness. And detoxification. Panchakarma is a series of cleaning therapies. Panchakarma is a series of cleaning therapy, detoxification, to eliminate the toxins or to remove the toxins from your body and make your body well balanced. So these are all the three important practices Ayurveda always believe. And this is in brief about lesson number 9 about Ayurveda. Now let's recapitulate lesson number 6 with the title Logic and Epistemology in Indian Philosophy. Under the canopy of lesson number 6, we had a discussion on 4 important points such as what is logic and what are the 5 steps of logical thinking proposed by Naya school, which is called syllogism. What is the meaning of the term epistemology? What are the 6 pramanas, which we call 6 different ways of logical thinking proposed by Naya school? So these are the 4 important points we had a discussion under lesson number 6. Let us briefly discuss about each point. What is logic? The ability to think carefully to come to the right conclusion is called logical thinking. According to ancient philosophy, one has to develop the logical thinking to come to the right conclusions or to find the right truth behind it. And Naya school has proposed 5 steps of logical thinking, which is addressed as syllogism. One is pratigna, second one is hetu, third one is udaharana, fourth one is upanaya, and fifth one is nigamana. I have already given a detailed explanation about all these things in the previous lecture. You can have a glance about it. And third one, epistemology. What is epistemology? The study of knowledge. How the knowledge can be acquired, where the knowledge is preserved. So this is about epistemology. Naya school also has proposed 6 pramanas of logical thinking, which are called 6 different ways to come to the right conclusion, such as pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, sabda, addapati, anupalapti. The detailed discussion about all these concepts I have already given in the previous lectures. You can have a glance at it. And this is in brief about lesson number 6, Logic and Epistemology in Indian Philosophy. And let us move to lesson number 7, recapitulation, with the title Ancient Indian Mathematicians. Who are the significant ancient Indian mathematicians and their contributions was discussed under lesson number 7. One is Aryabhatta, who introduced the concept of zero and place value system. Brahma Gupta, he has explained about how to use zero while doing mathematical problems. Okay, he also has introduced the negative numbers such as number -1, -2, like that. And another one, Mahavir Acharya, who belongs to 9th century, he has explained about fractions such as 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, and explained how to use them in mathematics. Bhaskara 1 worked on trigonometry. Bhaskara 2 has explained how to use mathematics in the daily life, such as for buying something or construction of buildings or solving problems. Okay, these are all the different examples for that. So that is lesson number 7, Ancient Indian Mathematicians. Lesson number 8, Advancements in Indian Astronomy and Cosmology. If we talk about astronomy, we have to talk about Vedas. In specific, we have to talk about Rig Veda, where it is mentioned about celestial bodies such as sun, moon, stars, and planets. Our ancestors used to observe the nakshatra groups actually to calculate the time. That is the wisdom they had. They relied completely on nature. Okay, by observing the universe, they are calculating the time. Now we have watches and everything. But ancestors, they didn't have all these things. They were relying completely on nature and universe. They had a Vedic calendar, okay, followed by lunar cycles actually, and which helped them to decide the dates of festivals and farming. Even now, we are adopting the same. If you would like to do any festival, actually, we rely on some calendars, okay, and which we adopted from ancient times. There are many significant astronomers who contributed many things to the Indian astronomy. Aryabhatta, who talks about the Earth rotation and position of planets. Varahamitra, he has explained about the causes of sun and moon eclipse. And he has also studied how stars and planets affect the seasons and rains. Okay, in the medieval astronomy, which was dominated by Islamic scholars, at the time, many Islamic scholars captured our Indian kingdoms so that their impact was evident during the medieval time. So whatever the ancient books were there on astronomy, they were translated to Arabic language. And they also had contributed to the Indian astronomy with new findings. And modern astronomy was declined at the time of British rule, actually. They have not given importance to that. But again, it retains its energy and importance after 19th and 20th century. And we have significant comebacks in the Indian space research, such as Chandrayaan-1, as well as Mars Orbiter Mission, which are the remarkable achievements of modern Indian space research. All are well known about it. Now let's move on to the recapitulation of lesson number 9, Ayurveda, Science of Life and Well-being. If we talk about ancient knowledge, we cannot see the ancient knowledge without Ayurveda. The greatest boon which was given by our ancestors to the modern civilization, that is Ayurveda. Ayurveda derived from the Sanskrit word Ayur, and Veda means knowledge. Ayur means life. It means the knowledge of life. So Ayurveda suggests how to lead a right and good lifestyle. It is an ancient system of medicine that is being originated 3,000 years ago. See that. Ayurveda doesn't belong to recent times. It belongs to 3,000 years ago. They relied completely on natural therapy. What are the key components of Ayurveda holistic approach? Ayurveda strongly believes that everything is depending on each other. It strongly believes that healthy body gives healthy mind. Okay, body, soul, spirit, all are interdepending on each other, interconnected to each other. The balance of these three things is called holistic approach. Doshas. Ayurveda firmly believes that there are three energies which are named as three doshas. What are the three energies? Vata, Pitta, Kapha in our body. If these three energies are in a balanced manner, Ayurveda considers that that is a healthy body. If any one of these three energies are having an issue in the body, then they have a health issue, illness. According to the dosha, the treatment would be considered. And Prakriti versus Vikruti, which means what? Prakriti is nothing but the human body which comes from the birth, which is a default setting, which cannot be changed. And Vikruti, it influences and changes according to our lifestyle and diet. Okay. Sometimes if you are going to eat excessively, you may become obese. That means it is changing. Your body is changing based on the lifestyle and the diet what you are having. But Ayurveda believes that whenever Prakriti and Vikriti, that is nothing but your default body and Vikriti, your lifestyle are balancing, you will have a healthy body. That always being suggested by Ayurveda. Prakriti and Vikriti in your body has to be balanced. And prevention and lifestyle, Ayurveda always believes that instead of curing the disease after it is being affected the body, it always suggests prevention is better than cure. That is the reason Ayurveda always suggests the humans to make a healthy and well systematic lifestyle. Natural remedies. Ayurveda always believe in natural remedies. Even the modern civilized people also, they were very much interested to go for Ayurveda. They don't want to go for allopathy, which is impacting some many health issues. Now let's move on to lesson number 10. Traditional Indian architecture and town planning. Let us have a detailed discussion now. our ancient India is famous for many remarkable structures. Indian architecture, if we talk about it, we have to start from Indus Valley civilization, which is very famous for urban planning and drainage system, which is the origin of our ancient Indian architecture, which has a lot of importance to spiritual significance. If you take temples, stupas, mosques, whatever it is, all are with spiritual values. Have you seen the temple actually? The carvings also, okay, devotional carvings will be there, the carvings of gods will be there. Most of spiritual values were there during the constructions of ancient times. Diverse styles were there. Hindu style was there, Buddhist style was there, Jainist style was there, Islamic style was there, colonial style was there during the time of Britishers. So Indian architecture is an amalgamation of different and diverse styles in its constructions. And during the ancient times, they strongly believe Vastu Shastra principles. Okay, where to construct the wall, where to dig the well. According to the rules of Vastu Shastra, they have constructed all the monuments during the ancient time. And they had very good artistic value. They had many carvings, wood carvings were there, stone carvings were there, on many number of ancient monuments, and which are even in the modern civilization, we are witnessing that. If you go to temple, many beautiful carvings are there on the walls of the temple. So they have given utmost priority for artistic value. And regional variation were also there. Based on the region, the construction styles are changing. Dravidian style, Nagara style, Indo-Islamic style. Okay, it may changes from one region to other region within the India. Okay, this is in brief about Indian architecture pertaining to ancient times. So what is the evolution of traditional Indian architecture when it has been started? I have already mentioned, if we talk about Indian architecture, we have to start from Indus Valley civilization, which starts from 2600 to 900 BC. And it is very famous for cities, planning cities and drainages. Okay, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, grid layouts and drainage system, it is very famous in Indus Valley civilization. You are well known about Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. You might be studied even in the social studies and history also during your school times. Vedic period to Mauryan era, use of wood and brick. They started using the woods and bricks to construct something. Early religious structures and stupas emerged. They focused on construction of stupas. Okay, one of the famous stupas during the time is nothing but Sanchi Stupa. Gupta period, which is in between 320 to 550 CE. It is a golden age for construction of Hindu temples. Emergence of Nagara and Dravidian styles. They ruled our country at the time. That's why those styles are very much impacted pertaining to this period. Medieval period, elaboration of temple styles. Khajuraho, Hosea temples, increased ornamentation and iconography. And Indo-Islamic architecture, introduction of domes, arcs, minarets, Qutub Minar, Taj Mahal, these are all the examples for them, Indo-Islamic architecture. Colonial period, fusion of European styles with Indian motifs. So they have implemented their own style of construction during the Britishers. Post-independence and contemporary now, revival of traditional forms in modern materials, sustainable regional designs. So what is modern construction? We have adopted the ideas from ancient times of architecture and we are implementing with the new methods. So this is in brief about the evolution of traditional Indian architecture. How we strictly follow the Vastu principles during the ancient times, principles of Vastu Shastra and town planning. What are the significant features of Vastu Shastra? They believed in 5 elements, which we call it as Panchabhutas during the construction, such as earth, water, fire, space. And all these things must be well balanced during the construction. That is one of the important principles of Vastu Shastra. And second one, directional alignments. They were very much particular about north, east, south, west. When they are constructing the houses, the facing of houses, everything they are very particular. What is the direction of the kitchen? What is the direction of the entry window? Everything. Okay, they were very particular at the time. Next one, mandala. What is that? They have constructed, if they have the space, actually, the space has been divided into squares. Even now, we are following the same norm. If you have one space to construct the building, actually, first we had a plan. That space has been divided into different squares. Okay. Such as it is for main bedroom, another is for kitchen. Everything is in the form of squares. And this tradition was there in the ancient times and which we adopted now. And zoning of functions, specific zones were allotted for residence, trading, worship, water bodies, not like modern civilization. Okay, we have temples, we also have living areas. We have shopping malls, we also have living areas. It is a kind of lot of disturbance to the people who are living. Their peace, mental peace get disturbed. But during the ancient times, actually, see the intelligence of the ancient people in the architecture. They have divided the space. Okay, whatever the space they had in that region, they divided. Okay, one space is for only residential purpose. Other space is for only shopping purpose or trading purpose. Other space is for construction of some temples and all. That is the way they have designed zones in the form of zones, so that there is no kind of disturbances for living peacefully. Integration of natural elements, placements of wells, gardens, water bodies in harmony with surroundings. Every house had a well. Every house had a well, as well as the gardens too. Because you know that our ancestors are loved to live with the nature. And they always protect the nature. So that according to the nature, they construct everything. According to the rules of Vastu Shastra, they construct everything. Sustainability and climate sensitivity. Emphasis on ventilation, sunlight, water harvesting. Have you seen the modern civilization? In a very compact places, we are constructing building. There is no ventilation at all. There is no proper flow of air. There is no sunlight. It leads to a number of health issues. But they were very particular regarding the sunlight, flow of natural air inside of the house actually. Everything is very good, which helps us to lead a healthy life. And these are all the principles of Vastu Shastra. Unfortunately, in the name of modern civilization or in the name of development, we completely ignored them. That whenever this modern civilization came, all people are coming to the small cities actually. Population is high, there is no space. So that compact buildings will be there, so that there is no ventilation, there is no sunlight, there is no flow of natural air, and we are relying on fans, we are relying on ACs. Without that, we cannot live because we are away from the nature. But our ancestors lived with the nature. Even during the constructions, also, they were very much particular to live with the nature. And features of traditional town planning. The traditional town planning, Vastu-based layout. Cities were planned according to principles of Vastu Shastra, ensuring harmony with nature. They always want to live with the nature, as I have already mentioned. They always protect the nature even while they are constructing. I have already mentioned that the space has been divided into zones. Residential zone, commercial zone, religious zone. There are no disturbances to the other people. Central temples or public spaces. Towns were centered around temples, water tanks, and marketplaces. Temples were there in the middle so that people can easily access them. Water tanks would be there in the middle so that people can easily access them. Either the commercial places, the people who are in the commercial space, or the people who are there in the residential space, everyone can easily access them. Temples, water tanks, if they are in the middle, marketplaces. Compact housing clusters, densely built homes to promote community living and safety. They always believe in community living. Majority of the people, okay, they used to construct the buildings, okay, side by side, close like clusters, a group of house, so that they can have a healthy relationship with others, neighbors and all. Even the festivals also, they used to celebrate together. Unity was there, but now it is not there. Everyone is doing individually. Pedestrian-friendly designs will be there. Narrow lanes designed for foot traffic, promoting walkability. Okay, pedestrian spaces will be there. Okay, other than the vehicles, actually, if anyone want to walk on the pedestrian space, they can walk it easily. So there is no scope for accidents. See the planning of our ancestors. Water management system, advanced drainage, step wells, tanks, ensure sustainable water use. Now we are using the rainwater excessively, but they used to protect them in the form of tanks and all. Environmental integration. I have already mentioned that they construct the buildings and everything to protect the nature by following the orders of the nature without violating the rules of the nature, aligning with the natural benefits, such as sunlight must be there, airflow, natural airflow must be there. Okay, in such a way they used to construct the building. Fortified structures. Many towns had walls, gates, and defense layouts for protection. So if there is a cluster of houses, actually they would have a compound wall because so that they can easily protect themselves from others. That is the way they have planned it. So this is in brief about Indian architecture.